Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Jarvis Cocker's Corner. I'm your host, Jarvis Cocker, and tonight we have a great show coming for you guys. We will talk all about the game, dissect every little touch on the ball and what happened in the magnificent win against Liverpool 4-3 in the FA Cup quarter final. So we will be back with guests after this intro. So I will be with you in a sec.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to
And welcome. We are live. So very good to see you. We have the magnificent Phil Standish back on the show. And of course, we have Mr. Stu Woolley in the house drinking his decaf tea or whatever he's drinking.
Yeah, it is fruit tea today. Fruit tea. Yeah.
Fantastic. So I just want to say before we go, tonight we're going to talk about the game and what happened in the game. I'm very interested in hearing Stu Woolley's take on the game, and of course the one and only Phil Standish's take on the game, because there was so much things going on at the game yesterday. So I don't know, where do you want to start, guys? We want to talk about the players or Ten Hag or the tactics, or it's almost too much. Oh, you're on mute, Phil.
Oh, Phil.
Schoolboy error. Tell you what, I've been missed so many shows and I forget to take my mic off. Brilliant.
Jarvis, get him off. Get him off.
He's gone. He's gone.
No,
he's gone.
Good. He's good.
That's him. Get him gone.
No, I tell you, it's what a game. Just getting my voice back, sort of thing. Absolutely screamed the house down. When Antony got that equaliser, that was it. And then when Elliott's got his, I was just like, oh. And then I was like, come on, just keep fighting, lads, keep fighting. Yeah. And then we saw Rashford and then Diallo in absolute dreamland to shatter the dreams. Oh, yeah. It was immense, absolutely immense. Just what a moment. I tell you what, you missed that so much. If you remember one thing this season, that's going to be it, innit? It's going to be up there with one of those memories from this season. That has got to be it. And I've read things on social media, people saying like, if this is all that happens, is that great sort of thing? It's like, well, now we want so much more. We know all the mistakes we've made. We know how bad a season it's been, but let's just finish on a positive. Do you know what I mean? Let's use this to drive us on. So yeah, absolutely still buzzing, just buzzing all day. It's just been one of those where social media has been a bit quiet from other fans, and United have just been like a few little jokes here and there and memes around the place. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Before we go to Stu, I just want to say hi to the VAR room. I see we have a lot of people. We are on 15 likes already. 24 of you watching from the beginning. So people, remember, start the stream by hitting the like and subscribe if you haven't. We have Lucky Singh in the house. We have Bacon Buddy. We have Jamie Wayne, who's always here. Big up, Jamie Wayne. Neil Driscoll comes in. Good evening, everyone. We have Admiral Drex, Mr. Tactico himself coming in. Good to see you, Admiral Drex. And we have Lilis United. Let's go. Lilis is always here, so you're a legend of the chat. Good to have you here, Lilis. And Lillis's alter ego, Ilir United. I wonder who that is.
Yes.
And Lily says, and that's the most important thing now in the beginning. And we have, of course, our one and only Mark N, who's in the chat. Danny B, Sanjay Ramatar. Oh, you are so many. I can't even go through all the comments. And Welsh Girl coming in and say, what a day, smile all day. So, Stu, was it smile all day, or are you still buzzing?
Well, you know me, I don't smile much, but yes, yesterday actually I was buzzing. The mighty Tipton Town were in action on Sunday morning. We played Sunday this week, and then came home after one or two small pints, if you can do a small pint, after the game, straight to watch the boys in red. So my lad was there. He said it was tremendous game. I know you want to go through it tactically. I know you've got heat maps, etc., which we can talk about a bit later on. But interesting for me, it was a top and tail performance. As I said last night, we were okay for 20 minutes first half. We laid down and had our belly scratched for the next 60 odd minutes, and then the final periods we came good again. And it's always strange to me that can happen in a game of football. And what it is during the game that allows teams to get on top of you. And then all of a sudden, you switch the light back on and away we go. And we hit them hard towards the end. I think, and I wouldn't be too dismissive of the fact, I think there's a lot of arrogance from the pearly white mouth of Jurgen Klopp. I think he felt inside. I think a lot of the players felt inside that it was a done deal, the game was over, Manchester United aren't going to keep coming back. And then we got this real doggedness about us, which I think, for all being honest, we've not seen at all this season. We haven't seen for a long time from a group of Manchester United footballers. And we've seen something a little bit different that is, unfortunately, which is great for us, given these bunch of players know where to hide now. That's it, you're done. As Phil quite rightly said at the beginning when he was talking, that's it now, fellas. You're there. You can't drop below that anymore, mate. That's it, you're done. And so I'll be really interested to see after the international break. It's come at the wrong time for us, as per usual. As I'll be interested to see when we come back, what kind of spirits we're in, if we can kind of remain injury-free, perhaps. So some of our players don't pick up injuries. If they haven't got to play, don't play them. I know there's a lot of conjecture about Licha going off with Argentina. I said last night I wouldn't play him again this season. I stick by that. I stand by that. I wouldn't. We need a fully fit Licha that can play the whole season. He comes back again and he starts to pick up these little niggles, which he will do when you've been out for most of the season. He's been out for 3/4 of the season, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah.
So
he's not gone to play though, has he?
No, he's not gone to play. He's gone to train and be with.
So support the team and be the sort of
I can see it. I get that, but I made a point last night, Phil, that I didn't want him coming back after the international break and playing the remainder of the season. A lot of players, a lot of fans, and I can tell by your face, kind of disagree with that, and that's fine. I've got no issue with that. But once you've been out for this length of time, you will pick up these little niggle. Niggle.
But do you mean you want to give him a chance to properly recover?
Yeah, we need to avoid all of that. Let's have him back. Let's give him a really good pre-season. Let's have him back ready for the start of next season. Is he going to get us across the line? And this is the question. And please all come in. Is he going to get us across the line to finish fourth? Is Martinez alone going to get us across that line to finish fourth? No, he won't. It requires more than just Licha. So I would just keep him on the sidelines. That's all. That's all. But an interesting game yesterday, and I did roll around like a bit of a child, and I was quite happy to roll around like a child. But I'll just point out one thing. We've been asked on this show a million times, what do we believe Ahmad can bring to Manchester United? And no one really knows the answer. We still don't know the answer. But I can tell you what he has brought. a calmness. When you saw his celebration, okay, think about players that have had certain moments at Old Trafford and have made that key contribution right at the death to win a game of football. He slots it home, and he just nonchalantly, his facial expression was blank, took his top off, held it up, and then he broke into a smile. He didn't go running off, sliding on his knees. He didn't go berserk, blah, 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 blah. He showed an absolute calmness. Now, if you can generate that into his performances off the pitch, you've got a bit of a special person, mentally-wise, and potentially talent-wise. So just something small I picked up.
Yeah, that's great. I agree. I agree what you're saying. We saw something different from Ahmad yesterday, and what I saw, when it comes to Ahmad, I think he's ready. I think he's the kid is ready to take the next step and try to play more games for Man United. So I would like to see more of him going on forward from here. Yeah, Mick Ruby in the house. Good evening from the moon. I haven't still landed. Big up, Standish, Jarvis, Tom, and smash the likes, says the boss himself, Mick Ruby. Before we go to Phil, I just want to say hi to Tom, Journalist One. Welcome to the building, Tom. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, Jarvis. As always, like I say, and nice to meet you, Stu, again, and Phil. I don't know if we've met before, or I can't remember. It might have been a while back.
Possibly, yeah. I think your first time, yeah.
Maybe a while back, anyway. But yeah, all good, and I hope everyone in VAR room is doing good as well.
They are. The VAR room is always fantastic. So, Phil, we want to go down into the game. What was your first and the biggest take from the game yesterday, and how do you feel?
Well, before the game started, early in the morning, I was chatting to some people, and they were saying what do you expect from the game, and I was talking to United fans and Liverpool fans, both different friends of mine, and I said, well, the thing is, we kind of come to this game with not being expected to win, which I think helped us. They came with a little bit of a bravado and a chest pumped up sort of thing, thinking we're just going to carry on, roll you over. I saw tweets X's on social media saying comments like, well, this is our training grounds, see you later, and stuff like that. And it was just like, the arrogance just needed to be squished. And the way we did it was just phenomenal. We hit the ground running. There's no doubt we had the best start to the game. The first 20, as Stu said, 20 minutes or so, I think it was probably more like 25 to 30. You did start to see them getting a grip of themselves, starting to get a little bit more control in the game. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel threatened by them. I felt that they were pushing a bit more. But at the end of the day, they are Liverpool. And despite the league speaks for itself, is all I will say. I'm not going to big them up. The league speaks for them itself, and the results do. So they're expected to bring something, but they expected us not to bring as much. With the return of the likes of Højlund and obviously Manu, who's just in immense form at the moment, and onana. Seriously, what a game! I know there's been ups and downs for him, positives, negatives. He is really starting to become quite a solid goalkeeper, demanding controlling his area, making good saves, good reactions. And some people might say maybe when he palmed it wasn't quite out far enough or whatever it might be. But, at the end of the day, to me, I thought he had an absolutely great performance. I thought a couple of moments when we were looking a little bit fragile, he kept us in the game, kept us solid. But I think just the way we did it yesterday, there was no doubt that once... I mean, at the end of the day, two of their goals were big deflections, in which, and that's credit to ourselves. They're those things that go against you and you think, oh, is it that kind of day? You see a deflection going in like that, Kobe Manu flicks it, throws his leg out, takes a deflection straight past the Nana, McAllister 1-1 back in the game, and you're thinking, what? And it's true, you could see it. Our mentality dropped in that moment. And in those few moments, Liverpool smelt blood. And they just came in and they got that second goal. And I watched it back thinking, what happened there? We were all over. Until then, we'd looked quite strong. We looked solid. We had our formation. We knew where we were meant to be. We had our positions and our jobs. And in that moment, you look back and I think, it looked like he almost rolled it into the back of the net. Leaving Salah unmarked in the box is a little bit unforgivable, regardless of the situation. And it wasn't like he did a clever, smart turn or run or anything. He was just stood waiting for the ball, and he just rolled it into the back of the net. And so that was the poor moment for me. But the way and there's no doubt that they did have the majority of the possession in the second half until around about I think, to be fair, the subs that Ten Hag made at the time, people questioned why taking Højlund off and stuff like that. But you could see, obviously, first game back and stuff, some of the players were getting a bit tired. I thought Garnacho was going to go at one point because his legs seemed to be going, but he just carried on. And it's come out tonight that apparently he's been training all week with a hamstring injury and only been able to train for 2 days. Yeah. And then give that level of performance. And then you read silly comments about Real Madrid coming in for him because they're going to try and persuade him. No, I don't think so. He loves the club and he's playing for the badge. He is a special player. We have got a good team who are starting to build. Ahmad, who came on, who we've all been desperate to see all season. What can you do? Come on, make a difference. And it wasn't just his goal that made a difference. He won the tackle on the edge of the box, which led to our counter-attack, and he carried on running, stayed on side, kept his composure, as Stu says, and put it beautifully just away from the keeper into the corner. But before that, he'd caused problems and errors. For Rashford's goal, if you just roll it back a couple of seconds before, he was the one who broke up the play. He was the one who put the pressure on. So Ahmad, to me, and Antony as well, got to give him his due. Not just his goal, his desire and determination to say to the people, look, I know I've not had a great season. I know it's been awful. Just let me show you what I can do. And I'm not saying he's proved his 80 million in any way whatsoever, 85. But you've got to start somewhere. And if that's his start, time to press on.
Yeah. Great sum up of the game, Phil. And I just want to come back to you about one little thing. You said in the first half when Liverpool came back into the game, you could again see the heads drop. You are the spokesperson for Mental United, and talking about the mentality of the game. What really happened with the players, because when the Liverpool scored the first game, you could see the heads drop again. And I was thinking for myself, this is not ending well. The players look a little bit shook. And what's really going on into the mind of the players when you have something like that?
I think when you've had a season like we've had, with all the mishaps, mistakes, issues that we've had at the back, change of personnel and stuff like that. You've got to, your heads will drop in a moment, and everyone's saying, it's the worst time it could have possibly happened at half time. They've gone, they go 1-0 down, 1-0, and you think, oh no, that's it. It changed. Everyone talking, changed Ten Hag's team talk and stuff like that. But when it went to 2-1, you have to wonder how much it actually potentially helped the team talk, because otherwise, it's like, we've been in control. Don't worry. It was a deflection. We've had control of the game, but in that moment, it changed. Just before when that, and I think it's because of what we've seen this season. We've not having the belief and thinking, it's gone against us again. I can't believe it. And you can only imagine what Ten Hag said in the changing room, or what the bigger characters said to each other in the changing room. At the end of the day, there was 45 minutes minimum to fight and play on and get start. He knew that Liverpool were going to come out screaming, or fans were going to be all over the place, and they're going to come out the trap second half trying to put it to us. But they didn't. Whether it was the arrogance and the swag that they thought it was already done, and it was just looking like a 2-1. For me, what frustrated me, and it surprised me actually, because usually Liverpool smell blood. If that was if that was City, dare I say it, they would have gone for the kill. But Liverpool were passing the ball around the back from like the 65th minute, as though they were like playing like when you're in the sort of like 85th minute and you're just trying to keep the ball around the back. They were doing that from like the 65th minute, and it was like, is this swag? Do they think they've already won it? What was it? So at the end of the day, I think they came with the wrong mentality in the second half, which when we made those subs, they were subs who were determined to prove something and had something to prove. And before Antony's goal, he had a couple of opportunities, and you could see there was a bit of fire in him where he wanted to try and do something. And when Ten Hag put 2 at the back, you thought, this is what we've been complaining about all season. You had nothing to lose. Why did you not just stick somebody up front? And he did. He knew whether it was his job he was going to lose, or the dressing room, or the press, or whatever, or the game, whatever he felt he was going to lose in that moment, he thought, this is it, all or nothing. But that just shows. And Klopp being defeated by Bruno in centre back with Maguire playing centre forward and Dalot at right back. What a story! What a story!
Yeah, Antony at left back. Antony at left back. Yeah, but I just want to have a quick comment on the mental thing. For me, when you concede a goal, it's two things that happens, because the opposition team, in this case Liverpool, they get a couple of percent extra, like let's say 3% extra, and we concede a goal, we lose 3%, our heads drop, and those 6%, that's super vital, because the margins are so small in the top level games. Every 50-50 duel Liverpool will win. Every 45-55 duels Liverpool will win because of this, because the margins are so tight. So this is what I saw, and I want Ten Hag to work on this mental bit, because we have seen this group of players are a little bit they're not robust enough. They don't have the attitude you need when you're conceding goals. They hide in a way. So for me, I would like to see that part of the game improved by Ten Hag and the group of players. Before we go to Tom, I just want to bring in a couple of comments here. I see here Mark Davis comes in with the question: Do you think that Bruno should have a red been sent off yesterday? I'm buzzing about yesterday's win. Maybe Tom will answer that question.
I don't know what for.
Yeah,
I don't know. Listen, at the end of it, there was the challenge, I guess, that he had on, I can't remember what player it was anyway, where his studs were showing and everything, but then a couple of seconds, or I think it was a couple of minutes later, McAllister did the same thing into Maguire's midriff. It was almost as if it was like a UFC fight. So,
Maguire got done for it.
Maguire got done for it.
He did.
McAllister, to be fair, I think he were on very thin ice in large parts of the game anyway. He was only on a yellow card. He tugged at so many Manchester United players that were running through the midfield. Mino, I think, did him 2 or 3 times and he clipped him. And he got away with it on a couple of occasions. So, maybe more so in case of McAllister than maybe Fernandes. But the problem with Fernandes is he pushes the line too much with the referees. That's what gets himself booked.
Constantly yapping.
Yeah, if he wasn't the captain, I'd be very probably worried and concerned most of the time, because if you're the captain for the team, you get a leniency because you're allowed to speak to the official. Rather than if it was just any other player, then it's straight yellow card, dissent, like we saw with Diogo Dalot at Anfield. One bit of dissent and then walks away and throws his arm up, and then you sent him off again. But listen, that's officiating for us. The referee yesterday, I'll be honest with you, was poor as anything. Really, really poor. I thought even the linesmen as well, I thought were quite poor. With a lot of the decisions, I don't think they got most of them right, if I'm being honest with you. Then VAR, look, we've said before about VAR, it takes forever to do a decision. They didn't even show half the decisions yesterday with where they normally draw the lines or anything. I don't know the reasonings behind that or whatnot, but
they've changed it. I think they don't show it anymore. No. They've changed it now. They don't show it anymore. It's whether I don't know what's been agreed in the refs union or whatever, but they show you the screen, but they don't show you the lines on it. Whether that's because of conjecture or what, I don't know, but they don't show it until afterwards when it's decided, and then they show you the final decision.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it doesn't really make much difference anyway, because you don't know what's a penalty anymore. You don't know what's a handball anymore. You don't really know what's an offside anymore. And all this about technology and everything. Listen, there's a system in the Champions League. It's called an automated offside system. It tells you within 30 seconds if a player's offside or not, and it gives you the decision straight there and then. I don't understand.
Is that the one that gives you the 3D image?
It gives you the 3D angle.
It's brilliant. That. Yeah, it's good.
Decision's done. Tell the referee. Game on. 30 seconds.
Is that the one? That's the white wall, isn't it?
Yeah,
like the white wall that shows the player's arm through the wall and stuff.
Yeah. Most of the Premier League's decisions, anyway, they take like 2 or 3 minutes to do it, and if it goes wrong, they just blame it on a human error. Whereas in the technology system of the Champions League, it can't be wrong. It's all analytics. It's all demographic. It can't be wrong. That's the way. That's the way, and the reason why UEFA use it as the automated system. But listen, at the end of the day, systems and VAR and everything, it ruins the game as it is anyway. But even on us again, like I agree with what Stu said in the beginning and what you said, Phil, with the game. I thought in the first 20 minutes it were quite a decent game. I thought we played a good game. We was very aggressive. You could see that there was a fight, there was a desire, there was passion there from a lot of the players. And we got our just rewards in the beginning when we had a bit of a fast-paced start with the first goal that we got in the game anyway. And then, like you say, the game, Liverpool, they normally are either really quick starters in games or they have to grow into the game. But when they grow into the game and they get a grasp of it, they'll control it for like large portions of the game, 60, 70 minutes. And you just have to take your opportunities when you get them. And luckily for us anyway, with Liverpool, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, potentially, like we've seen in recent years anyway, when they get peppered and loads of different chances. But the only thing that I thought Liverpool constructively did yesterday was either spam crosses in the box and hope it fell to somebody, or they were shooting the ball from 30, 25 yards. That was it. They couldn't really have a deconstruction job like they have done by most teams this season anyway. The Manchester City game, they completely deconstructed them bit by bit, quick, intricate passes. They didn't necessarily do that yesterday, which arguably could say disappointing for them. But look, even in terms of tactics and play style and everything, we've discussed it for weeks about Man United's play style and everything. Yesterday, it wasn't necessarily about tactics. It was end to end. It was who wanted the game more, really. That's how I saw it anyway. And when I looked at one of the portions of the game anyway, there was like 4 or 5 players who were at the forward end of our field, and then there was 4 defenders that were at the back, our back 4. Supposedly, there wasn't a player within 15 yards of him, and he had a complete run straight at Man United with 3 other Liverpool attackers. Now, that's not a balanced system if you go in to try and contain Liverpool for large portions of the game when they're going to come at you in waves. But listen, we rode the storm when Liverpool got their little bit of fortune, the luck and everything. You can say it for what it is. They were, most of the goals that they got were a fluke. Little flicks off players, nicks here and there. And listen, you can say it for what it is. You ride your luck in some games. And like I said, we rode the wave, got to the second half, and then we got to like the 80th minute. And I don't know with Liverpool, I feel there was a bit of arrogance. I do feel like the comments that Klopp and Van Dijk in particular made after the 0-0 game at Anfield, where they said United didn't really want to do much in the game, they just came to defend. I don't know whether the manager might use that as a bit of a motivator to the players to say, well, let's show them that we didn't do that. Let's show them what we can do against them. We'll go full throttle for them. And I think in portions, especially from the 80th minute, we completely went after them. And I agree with what Phil said in terms of that we've not seen the manager really go for broken games many times this season. He's not really taken many gambles, many risks, maybe throw an extra attacker or 2 on and try and win a game when you may be behind by 1 or 2, many. He's not really took a gamble in many games, but he did yesterday. And I think really it was a case of he took a gamble because it's the most attainable success that we can have this season is the FA Cup, because top 4 you have to rely on other teams. The only competition that you can really make good for yourself is the FA Cup, because it's all we've got left. So he went for broke, and look, we got the fortune of what we did. Antony, well, he does have a right foot, finally. I don't know where he's found it from, but he's found it from somewhere. And he can even pinging a couple of crosses in, albeit they weren't Kevin De Bruyne standard or anything like that. But listen, it's something. We need to see some output. And as much as people, and I personally say anyway, he's very critical in terms of all he's got really is cutting inside. Listen, if you can't put a cross in your right foot that's brilliant, I'm not bothered. Clip it in the box and let's fight it out for the ball. Listen, you saw so many times, just Liverpool. All we do is just spam the box with crosses and just literally hit and hope. almost in some cases. And if you get lucky, you look into it and you can score from 5 yards. But like I said, we rode the wave in large parts of the game. We got to the extra time, and look, the one thing that we've always criticised with these players is that they're a bit frail. They bottle it in big moments when it comes down to it, or in big games when the opposition are massive favourites against you. They don't necessarily live up to the pressure, but they did do yesterday. And the one thing in particular, especially what Stu said in terms of with the final goal we had, as much as the celebration was very cool, calm, and collected, most players in the situation that he got in, it's an adrenaline. They'd probably put the foot through the ball and just hope for the best in that kind of situation. The composure just to slot it round the goalkeeper. And to be fair with you, I think the goalkeeper for that goal was absolutely shocking. He didn't even connect with it properly, I don't think, anyway. And it did go in off the post. But look, we've said before about Ahmad that the talent is always there. You don't pay £30 million for somebody who I think we bought him when he was 18 years old if you're not going to try and if you don't see a good investment. Not many clubs pay over £30-40 million for a player at 18 years old and then hope they come good. So for me, I think I agree with you, Jarvis. I think he's ready. I think he deserves, and I think he's proved, not only just in this game, but in certain games, even in a couple of previous seasons, where he's deserved 5-6 games. He deserves a run in even just anywhere in the front line. I've seen the guy play centrally in attacking midfield for Sunderland in the Championship, physical league, and he can do it. I've seen him play out wide. I've seen him play false nine.
Yep.
So, listen, if we're missing a player due to absence or illness or whatever, stick him in there. Give the kid a game. For Christ's sake, at the end of the day, we've bought a player for £30 million. Let's use him. And if he got the same amount of games that Garnacho's had this season consistently, 7 or 8 games in a row, then we can see the output that he'll actually give us on the field in GA. But we need to see more of him consistently playing. And look, if he's not going to play for Man United, loan him out somewhere. That's the best case scenario that you could do. And right now, as this as the squad's so thin, we need to utilise the squad best we can. So for me, if I had the argument anyway, stick him in there, head of Antony or whatever, or just rotate the two of them, whatever, with Garnacho. Because you can't afford to lose any more players. We're stretched as it is.
Yeah. Tom, speaking of Garnacho, the young kid, he run his socks off yesterday, and he worked extremely hard. Are you impressed by this young kid, or do you think he has more to? We have more to come.
Well, we knew he was special with the goal that he scored at Everton. Even just to try something like that, many people would try that, and if he bottles it or he doesn't, pull it off or anything, he gets made a meme of. But at the end of the day, the kid's got balls. We'll give him that. We knew he was a ball of energy. I saw a goal when he ran, I think it was 70 or 80 yards from his own box in the FA Cup Youth Final at Old Trafford. He ran 70, 80 yards full throttle and stuck it in the corner. So I knew the kid could have the legs, but in terms of sustainability, in terms of his fitness throughout a full 120 minutes, to have that acceleration toward the end of the game as well, I thought was very, very credible to him in terms of his own personal development. And look, the manager's had a hand in his development, we have to say that. But I look at Garnacho and I almost think that's the pathway that I want for Ahmad, where I want players to have those opportunities to have 6-7 games. And listen, I don't wish illness or injury on any of our players where it gives these guys a chance. But the only way you're going to find out if you're good enough is if you play consistently. And if you play consistently poor for 5-6 games, right, you're out of the picture completely. If you play decent for it, you maybe contain that you'll be a squad player, and then you've got to go from squad player to first team field. Garnacho's done that. He was on the bench for large parts of last season, and he was almost our impact player. Either Ahmad's going to have to be that from now to the end of the season and be that impact player, or hopefully, in many cases anyway, with the manager, he'll give him his opportunity and his flowers. But I'm really impressed with Garnacho and his development. But the only thing that I picked up on for most of this season anyway, when it wasn't necessarily exposed against Liverpool, was I think he's quite frail. I do think he would do well bulking up a couple of kilos. So he's not going to be bossed about by centre halves or bullied off the ball by a fullback coming into the back of him. If he can bulk up just that tad bit, listen, the kid's got legs to burn. He's run, 50 yards with the ball at the 120th minute, where he's been full throttle, full energy for the whole game. So if maybe he bulked up that slight bit, he wouldn't necessarily get bullied off the ball as much. And then if he can hold up the ball in decent yards, like we saw what he did against Everton, where he won the 2 penalties, in those sort of situations, if you're a bit more, not stocky, but if you're a bit more built, if a player comes and throttles you, you're either going to win the penalty, but you're not going to be susceptible to injuries by the force of it, or you're going to probably go through and score the goal because it won't affect you. That's the only criticism I have of his game. And listen, if he puts on a couple of kilos, it's not going to burn his legs out. If anything, you build the athleticism to go more and go forward. But
he will eventually put on some kilos. He's just 19 years old, the kid. So if he develops naturally, he will bulk up. And I think, but the only thing that worries me, it will take off a little bit of his stamina if he bulks up too much. So just
but
need to find the right balance, and this is the thing when it comes to. But we have a physicality team and training team that will take care of his development, I believe, and he looks like a professional and he behaves professional. And I think he will come good. Stu Woolley, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm all right.
Are you awake?
Yeah, I've been listening intently.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yesterday's game, we had a young Manchester lad, I believe he is, and now starting to be an experienced guy, 27 years old. He had a great game in the midfield yesterday. For me, I watched him in the first 30 minutes, and he was actually scanning around McTominay and looking over his shoulder before he invited for the pass.
Yeah.
He was very good yesterday, and he looked in control in the midfield. How was your take on McTominay yesterday?
Yeah, look, he's a difficult one really, because he's quite easy to hammer, and he's quite easy to turn around and give the same old analogy that he has 1 in 7 decent games of football. The thing about Scott McTominay is he's built for certain games, and he's not built for other games. He's built to play against Leeds. He's built to play actually for yesterday's type of game. It was a little bit scrappy when McAllister was putting it about, so Bosley was putting it about. So those types of games he does like, because he's quite big, he's quite athletic, he's quite physical. I've noticed a better level of awareness from McTominay this season as a whole, really. And you're quite right. I've noticed, him using his head a bit more, thinking about where he's standing on the pitch, ready to make that 10-yard burst, where to receive the ball. So he kind of doesn't run aimlessly anymore. He kind of goes into space nicely. But look, when you're playing alongside Casemiro, or you're training alongside Casemiro, the guy's a master of finding space. And as much as people like to see athleticism on a football pitch, sometimes your brain will tell you to stop. And once your brain tells you to stop, other players are still moving, and that's where you create your space. And that's what he started to do better than what he did 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons ago. We all know that he can finish because he's shown in the past that when he gets into certain positions, he can finish. But the way he's utilising his brain, it's quite a bit of a joy to watch. As I say, a lot of people consider football to be all about pace, to be all about movement. Some of the finest footballers will stand, stop, look, and then that gives you your space, because everyone else is moving around you. And when people are moving around you, they're creating space for you. And that's what he did brilliantly yesterday. So if you notice when the ball came, or what he was doing, he was kind of around, 12 yards, I think, before he then made his run. He was static. Tried to see what was unfolding, then he makes his run. And he's quite good at doing that. And, Højlund's been doing that for the past 6-7 games before his injury. Again, yesterday wasn't the right game for Højlund. Unfortunately, I think Phil touched on it. We should have brought him on with 20-25 minutes to go. But look, in hindsight, maybe it was better to start him. I don't know. For me, I wouldn't have played him. But when you look at McTominay without Casemiro, with Mino, because Mino, the way that Mino kind of complements McTominay at the moment, McTominay's a bit more of a bustler. Mino is a bit more, how can I put it? He's a bit more chic on the ball. I've always said he runs around with a 2-yard or 3-yard kind of shield around him because nobody can actually get in and pickpocket him. He's very good at that. And he allows that, that kind of smoothness, that kind of silkiness allows McTominay to flourish, I think. It's such an intriguing partnership. I wouldn't have thought about it 18 months ago. I wouldn't have thought about it 6 months ago. But when you actually look at how it's unfolding before your eyes, you actually watch and study the game and watch how it unfolds before your eyes. It's quite an intriguing partnership going there. So people will say, look, like Mino isn't a 6. He's more of an 8. I don't agree with that. I think he's a 6 or an 8. If you're an 8, you can be a 6 anyway. It's all about brains, and he has that. McTominay for me is a good 8 to 10. He doesn't need to be this box to box kind of player. We need him in the final third rather than the.
But Stu, funny enough, when we had the McFred partnership, McTominay was always the number 6 and Fred was the number 8 roaming around. But sometimes it was the other way around, and that was when McTominay had his best games, when he was in this number 8/10 role.
Yeah, there's a word we use in England a lot, and that's guile. McFred or Fred, and I know the guys will agree with me. As much as we like Fred in certain positions, he doesn't have the guile to enable McTominay to have a bit more width, have that space. So they were always kind of like together. They're almost in tandem, and it never did work. When you've got, as I said, when you've got Casemiro or you've got Mino, it enables. Look, if Phil's McTominay right, and he's playing alongside Mino, Phil will know instinctively, I can spin 10, 12, 13, 14 yards off Kobe and I'm fine. As long as I can get back if need be, as long as we've got a turnover, I can get back if need be, he's fine. Because when he gets the ball, he's going to find me. And that's the intriguing part of football. Now, if you ask anyone on this panel or ask anyone in the VAR room's full of football knowledge, nobody would have said a really good combination is McTominay and Mino. You almost forgot about Bruno's. I mean, Tom made a really good point about Bruno's petulance again, and so did Phil. Made a really good. But you almost forgot the importance of Fernandes in the game yesterday as a senior player because of the way that Mino and McTominay were operating in the middle. And so it's a good question, and it was interesting to me anyway. And that was my view on it. I don't know what the lads think. That was my take on it.
Yeah, we can bring it to Phil. You haven't been saying much in the last 5 minutes,
well,
so
it's fine, mate. When I do talk, I don't stop, so it's good to breathe sometimes.
but moving on the midfield, did you like what you saw from McTominay, Manu, and Bruno? Was there? Could you see a good unit working together?
I think when first of all, the one thing that they brought was desire and effort. One of the things that's been questioned on United's players this season, including Rashford and others, is the desire to track back, to put effort in, to keep running, to not give up and stuff. When you watch the Amad Diallo goal, and you see, I think it was on the United site today. You see all the he says things you love to watch or something, and you see all the players running and swarming around Amad, and you just see McTominay almost running, but like literally using his last breath to get to the celebration, and you just watch it, and his legs almost buckle as he gets there because he's give everything, and you saw Rashford sprinting, towards the end of a game, in the extra time. I know he'd missed those 2 or 3 chances earlier on where you're thinking, oh, come on, what's going on? But it wasn't about lack of effort yesterday. No. You saw Bruno, I think it was about the maybe about the 100th minute, something like that. He looked like he was going to go off injured. And you could see him hobbling around, and he was hobbling. He wasn't faking. But then me and my wife were watching it, and it's is Bruno down? And next minute, he was sprinting towards a tackle and closing the ball down. And as soon as the ball had gone, he was hobbling off again. He was injured. He was carrying an injury. He carried on to the end. So one thing you cannot take away from the game yesterday was effort and desire and determination to fight for the badge, fight for the team, and just show we are a good team and we can do something. We are Man United. That was a gutsy performance yesterday. And whether it was about the balance of the team, whether it was about pure desire, whether it was about the 12th man, whether it was about who we were playing and we had something to prove, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, we will find out in our next home game, because our next home game is against Liverpool. They will come back with something to prove, even more. Are we ready? Are we able to stand up again and go again? That's the question. That's when you'll be able to really question the mentality of that squad. And they know they're not going to be able to walk out on that pitch in 3 games' time and think we've beat them, we've got to beat them again. No, we've got to work hard as we did this time and more.
This is what Stu has been saying. He said it yesterday and you said it today. This is what they have. The level is here. They can't drop down again, because now we know what they can do.
I thought, just a side caveat, fellas, I thought Eriksen came on and at parts he was absolutely sublime. I mean, he really was sublime. And he's a great example, by the way, of not sprinting in football matches. Years and years ago, Jan Molby used to be the absolute perfect midfield player. He just used to operate in the centre circle. But his passing was brilliant. His vision was brilliant. His communication, his direction, his honesty in the game was absolutely brilliant. Eriksen comes on yesterday and operates in not a centre circle kind of area, but a very similar circular part of the field where he can pick up the ball and he's dangerous. And that lovely little ball in for Rashford, which I still can't believe he didn't try and curl it into the top. Anyway, that's just another thing. Just shows what we're missing as well with Eriksen. So when you take Mino off the pitch and people are looking, fucking hell, why is he taking Kobe off? Well, what's all that about? Eriksen comes in and he kind of slots in, not seamlessly, but a different type of player. And again, when somebody like Eriksen comes in, it garners the mind of your opposition. Fuck, Kobe's gone off for that. Fucking Eriksen comes on. What am I going to do with him now? Because he's a completely different player to what I've been playing. I can't remember what did he come on with, 65 minutes, was it? Something like that. I can't quite remember. But either way, it's a different type of player. And Eriksen found that space and he had that knowledge and that guile to get us. I thought there was 2 turning points.
Eriksen was the 80th minute.
It was 80, was it? I couldn't quite remember it, but I'm thinking Harry Maguire, he made a huge difference when he came on, a massive difference. And then Eriksen as well. And then you can talk about Ahmad, as that type of thing. The Garnacho thing, by the way, Phil, as you mentioned, was he carrying a hamstring? Look, I doubt. He might have had a tight hamstring right at the beginning, but you don't operate like that if you've got a hamstring issue. You just don't operate like that, not at that continued level of pace. What I thought was interesting about Garnacho, I thought he was fearless for the first time. He was absolutely fearless, because if you remember when they bought on what's that left back, Shimikas, that Ponce with fucking ponytail, absolute tosser. He comes on, first seconds, he's smashed Garnacho on the sideline. Garnacho gets up, whatever, mate, I'm going to have you now. That was what Klopp said to Shimikas, get in there, give him one, see what happens. Garnacho wasn't interested. Got on with it.
Because we kept going down that side, didn't we? We brought him on to make that change.
And going. I thought it was really interesting that. So it was a good testament. Tom's right, and he will build up as he gets on. It was a really good testament of his character. Garnacho's changed. He's changed a lot in his game. He's changed a lot in his personality. Watch his mannerisms when he's on the pitch. Watch his mannerisms when he takes the ball now. He's a lot more considered. Really interesting.
Yeah,
It's the decision making as well with Garnacho, because we spoke about him in the past, where I know his idol is Ronaldo, and when you think back to Ronaldo when he first started at United, everyone knew he was a quality player, but some of his decisions you're thinking, come on, you should have crossed that there. That was never a shot, that sort of thing. And even this season with Garnacho, we've seen those moments where we're thinking, you should have crossed that there. There was a guy there, and I can't remember who it was yesterday. I think it was Garnacho was screaming at the box, saying, "Why didn't you pass it to me?" I can't. Somebody from the left wing was crossing it in. I don't think it was Rashford. It was somebody else anyway. And he was like in this space thinking, I'm here. Why didn't you? And he was going mad, but he was going mad. He's grown into the team. He's not like trying to, obviously he respects everybody, but he's
okay.
Phil's made a great point there, and Tom will know this saying. There is an old saying in football that you grow into your skin as a person. You actually grow into your shirt as a player. You do. And players, as they progress, it's like you start off with a baggy shirt that's 20 times the size of you, and eventually when you hit that premium, that pinch point, you fill your shirt perfectly. He's hit that point now where he's starting to fill his shirt nicely. So when he puts that shirt on, he's in the dressing room. He's not looking at the badge. He's not feeling it, tugging it, making sure it fits. It goes on. He's doing his routine and he walks out. There's a lot to be said about little mental things about what happens in a player's mind. He's really changed. The last couple of games, he's really changed. And have you noticed that, Tom?
Tom, are you there?
Yeah, sorry. What?
All right, I'm just talking about Garnacho's mannerisms.
Yeah. Even in terms of his attitude towards the game and everything. Like you say, he closes players down. But the thing that I see comparably different to Garnacho to a lot of our forwards, and Ahmad's very similar to Garnacho in this case. When they close players down, it's not necessarily full throttle and just go towards the player. It's the actual positional sense and awareness that they have to know where the players are going to move to. So many times they had the young centre half. To be honest with you, I thought he actually showed Van Dijk how to move the ball forward. To be very honest with you, he did so many direct runs towards the goal and everything. But in the second half, in particular when Ahmad came into the game and Antony, he didn't run hardly anywhere forward when he got the ball. It was always sideways pass to the fullback. But in many cases with Van Dijk, when he had the ball at his feet, he didn't want to move. He didn't want to drag it forward. He didn't want to bring his team up the field, which isn't normally Virgil van Dijk. He either plays the ball forward to one of the midfielders, or he plays a diagonal ball out to one of the wingers or whatever, Salah or Diaz, whoever's playing on the day. The thing with Garnacho that I like anyway is when, especially with the pressure and the attitude towards the front line, he's very consistent with his pressing style, and he knows where the players are going to move towards with the ball. That's the one thing that I, in particular, criticised Rashford for so many times in his games. Bruno's very similar as well, where they sprint 30 yards in one direction, the players already move with the ball. And you do sometimes scratch your head and think to yourself, well, what was the point in that? And there's no constant pressure with us. Liverpool, arguably, for me anyway, in the Premier League, the best pressing team in the Premier League, maybe in the world, in terms of constant pressure. When we buckled, in particular, I can't remember if it was for the first goal or the second goal, the pressed us and stretched us so high up the field, and Wan-Bissaka on that side where he's not a natural left back, he doesn't know how to get himself out of those situations, and he's not naturally left-footed, so he's not going to be able to play the ball forwards towards Rashford 50, 60 yards for him to run onto. So he's not used to that position, and they exploited it very well when they had three players. I think they had McAllister, Salah, and I can't remember if it was the fullback who was over on that side, and they completely boxed him in the three, and he couldn't get out of it. And either way or how of angles that he'd played it ricocheted off of one of their players. That's the way Liverpool are so consistent with the pressing. With us, we don't have those trap boxes where we entrap players in, angles and triangles with 3 players or 4 players surrounding them. We don't do that. That's not how we press anyway. We press as a front three One player goes, right, ping it to the centre half, right, centre forward will run towards the centre halves, left wing, midfielder will exploit the midfielder that's dropping in for the ball, showing for the ball. But Garnacho in particular, in terms of his attitude, he's very disciplined in terms of the finer details of the game, which in many cases I think maybe a younger Marcus Rashford could have learned that along the way, but he wasn't ever designated as a left winger. We always associate Rashford when he was a young player, he was going to be a number 9. And I think maybe he believed that himself in the beginning until he developed to play on the left, which he prefers to play on the left anyway, still that many a time. And we're seeing it now. Garnacho, I think, and I feel anyway, if you asked him where he'd want to play in the front line, I think he'd probably say on the left because it's more naturally suited to his game to cut inside and cross the ball or shoot, whatever. That's just the arguments. But Garnacho, he doesn't care. He puts his head down, he'll bullet at players. And that's what I want from players. And Ahmad's very similar. But Ahmad, in terms of the comparisons between him and Garnacho, for me, Ahmad's far, far smoother with the ball at his feet. Garnacho's like a bullet. He'll run at you direct. It'd probably be a nightmare to play against for 90 minutes. Ahmad's a little bit more intricate. He'll come inside. He doesn't mind going on the outside. And as much as, like I say, guys, we criticise it with Antony with the right foot, Ahmad tends to cut inside a lot, but he will go direct and run at you on the right-hand side, and he clips crosses in. That's the one thing that Antony, for me, for most of the time that he's been a Man United player, he doesn't do enough. Even if he does, listen, I don't care if you can't cross the ball and you put it into touch, mate. Clip some crosses in there with your right foot if you run at somebody. I'm not bothered because you've got a 6'3" centre half in Rasmus Højlund who will direct towards the ball if it goes anywhere near him. And you have players like Scott McTominay, who's a cannonball come into the box and explode onto the end of something. You've got players who can get on the end of crosses. So just spam them in there. If it's not going well for you, put some crosses in there. Do something. I'd rather him do something than do something that we already know and associate with these game guys, which is what? Cut inside and shoot with his left foot. That's Antony's game in a nutshell. Whereas Garnacho, like I say, the development is there. And that was the only criticism that I had of him was in terms of bulking up. But as he ages anyway, that'll progress with him, either or way. But like I say, that's what I want to see with Ahmad. I want to see a similar trajectory where he gets the opportunities. And like I say, Ahmad's just as disciplined as Garnacho is in the finer details of the game. But the difference between the two of them is Ahmad, I would trust to play as a false 9. If we haven't got any number 9s, I'd put him at number 10 if you need to take Fernandes out there for a game, whatever. I don't mind. I'd give the kid the go. He's got the freedom. He's a low sense of gravity player. But you've got a talented player there. But the only way you're ever going to see it properly flourish is if you give him some consistent games. And if he doesn't perform, fair enough. He's been given his chance. If he does, I think he might shut a lot of people up. Because even if he doesn't do it here, guys, if he doesn't get the opportunities here in the next 18 months, would we all be surprised if he went somewhere else and was one of those players who left Man United and suddenly, wow, what a player, 70, 80 million pounds in the transfer market in 3-4 years' time? You wouldn't be surprised at all. But like I say, it's all about opportunities. Garnacho's taking his opportunities when he's been given them. And I think Ahmad would do the same should the manager give him the chance and put some faith in him.
Yeah. I heard you mention Wan-Bissaka, for example. You mentioned a lot of players there, Tom, and Phil Standish went dark again, but he's still here. I can bring this to Stu. Yeah, well, I can do Phil because there was a lot of things going on in the game yesterday, and I think we need to mention Wan-Bissaka. For me, I think he was excellent yesterday. And I just want to bring out the heat map of Wan-Bissaka. You know, he was a little bit rusty. He haven't played a game in a long time. You could see he's not comfortable on the left side. He couldn't hit that pass, as Tom mentioned, to Rashford from a distance. So actually what he did when we were attacking, he was pushing up, and he gave Rashford the support he needed. And it gave Rashford also an outlet all the time. So for me, I think he had a good game bombing up and forward. I haven't seen a heat map like this since I would say, the Evra time from a Man United fullback. So if you just give me 2 seconds, I will bring out the heat map right here. Do you see it? No, it's not on the screen. There you go. So these yellows and reds, this is Wan-Bissaka's movement on the pitch, and you can see he's very much up front here, attacking and helping out Rashford. This is his average position during the game compared to, for example, Dalot's average position, who is here as number 20. Phil, was it good to have Wan-Bissaka or just a fullback back in the team again?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that people would have sort of expected to see would have been Dalot being thrown in at left back again, because he's that utility player which seems to have been the go-to when we've had all our injuries, and just put Wan-Bissaka in at right back and putting Wan-Bissaka in against Salah. People are saying what was up with Salah, and genuinely people are asking, was he injured? Was he tired? Was he coming back from his injury sort of thing? You have to question how much it was the impact of Wan-Bissaka, because that people have questioned some of Ten Hag's decisions this season, but was that one of the really? I mean, I know there was a moment when he lost him and stuff like that, and they got the goals and stuff, and that's already been mentioned. But for someone who's a natural right back playing at left back in the way he did after being out for so long in injury, credit to him, and he made some really good interceptions as well. I can't remember which one it was. It was 2-1 to Liverpool, and he came out and they were on the break, and he came through the box and he cleared it, and it was a really good block clearance and clear of the ball at the same time. So it was down on the floor and cleared it long. I can't remember what it was, but there was moments like that in the game, and you just felt confident in Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah,
you weren't kind of watching the game thinking, oh no, it's going to him sort of thing. You've seen those moments in the past with other defenders, and you're cringing when it goes to them, thinking, just don't tackle, don't let it go near them. And Liverpool were looking for a weak spot and couldn't really find one yesterday. Yeah, they found a couple of moments, but generally, I think Wan-Bissaka, credit to him, I think it was a good thing, and I think we'll definitely see that in the next game as well. I won't be surprised if we see him left back until Shaw's back and Malacia or whatever sort of thing. So every confidence in seeing him start again. Obviously, we've got Brentford next sort of thing. So absolutely, I think we'll definitely see that. He breaks up the attack. What he's developed in his game. Obviously, he was known as the Spider because he had that great tackle. But one of the things that I say to the kids in the coaching is, if you're going down to make a slide tackle or a tackle like that, it's a last ditch tackle because of one or two reasons. One is you were caught out of position, or you've made a mistake and you're trying to recover yourself. Whereas now a lot of his tackles are almost like, I've got to go to ground. That's my trademark. I've got to do it. But you're seeing a lot more this season when he is playing that he's not going to ground all the time. He's holding himself up, and if he does need to make that spider tackle, it's the right decision at the right time, sort of thing. So we're seeing him really develop as a defender as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you are spot on when you talk about Wan-Bissaka. Do you have any comments to this heat map and Wan-Bissaka's performance yesterday? Because I'm thinking, compare him to Lindelof, especially going forward. It's day and night.
Yeah. Following 10 Standish there will be very, very difficult, because he's absolutely pretty much gone on and spoken about how I would have spoken about it. His assessment of Wan-Bissaka not going to ground as much as he used to is absolutely correct. Could you just pop that heat map back up, do you mind?
I will.
What's massively interesting about this particular heat map is where you see where Wan-Bissaka is on the halfway line. Okay. The third behind him and the third in front of him, that's where he operated for most of the game, which is where he's stopping Salah getting across. The area where he's not is the most dangerous part for a full-back stroke winger to be. So where you can see the kind of like banana-shaped green bit just by our box, that's the most dangerous place for a winger. So 9 out of 10 times, that's where you face him up. Yeah. The best part about that is he was hardly there. which means he was stopping Salah, as Phil said, from penetrating that particular area. That small shade just behind it demonstrates how little he had to defend just, on the edge of our box, which is quite impressive, actually, when you look at a fullback, because a fullback's primary job is to be in that particular area. That's your quadrant. Where that kind of green area is your quadrant. That's where you stand. That's where you stay. And the reason you stay there is twofold. A, it allows you to send the attacker down the byline, which is what you want. If he's a left footer, you need to push him and keep him on his right peg, and that's what you would do. Where the real redness, or where it starts to get a bit redder, a bit darker, that's where he's pushing and he's harrowing. That's when he's at his hardest. That's when he's doing everything he can to win the ball, stop the cross, or whatever. So he's making, in a way, he's making Salah think about where to be and why I've got to be there. And that's the most impressive thing about that. When you also look at Lindelof's position, look at Varane's position, there's a lot of cover there for him as well. Can you see?
This is Lindelof and Varane.
Yeah, there's a lot of cover there for him as well. So if they did ever get past him, there's that cover for him as well. So I think Phil was right. I think it was an absolutely dominant display for a fullback. I wouldn't have been so far up the pitch for the first 10 minutes anyway. I like to play myself into the game. He didn't do that. You can clearly see he didn't do that. He just attacked and he attacked and he attacked. But the key area to this heat map is that little green patch there. And that is your quadrant. That's where you sit. Phil, when you're coaching, I presume you coach your fullbacks to sit within that kind of area, because that allows you to go with the play. It allows you enough ground to come back if you're being attacked, transition-wise and everything. That is massively impressive. It kept Salah away from the most dangerous part on the pitch.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
I mean, the thing is, we coach under 12s, so there's a lot of development to go, sort of thing. But
sorry, mate.
No, but absolutely, one of the things that we're constantly screaming at him is hold your position, get back, get up for a corner or whatever, and two of you stay back. And my son's a centre back, and I'm always telling him to watch the line, sort of thing. Watch your line, control your line, control your defence, keep them together, sort of thing. And he's screaming at his defence to get back from the corner, sort of thing. He knows that those three together, we play three at the back. He knows that those three together are vital for holding those positions. And we played a game at the weekend, and we saw a couple of moments where one of our defenders had moved higher up the pitch, sort of thing, and he was screaming at them to get back. So absolutely, even at that young age, it's important to understand your holding position. And so many times in games this season, we've seen no consistency in form and where to stand on the pitch and all over the place. And you love to see it when you're almost watching a game and you can see 4-4-2, not 4-4-2, but you know what I mean? You can see the formation that they're in in the middle of a game. I don't mean a kickoff. I mean, as the move, that's the word structure. As they're moving around the pitch, you can see them, and then they move from this formation to this one, and then they're back into the shape. And that's when you know that they're drilled and they're having a good, you can sense that they've had a good training, that they're having a good game, they've got they're working together as a team. And that's it. That's a big part of it. As Wan-Bissaka pulls forward, Lindelof and Varane shove over to the left a bit to support that sort of thing, and Dalot over from the right. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know, Jarvis, people talk about shuffling, and Phil's fucking spot on with that. So I'm a centre half, Phil, as well. And if I play in the three, we operate a pendulum system. So, if the ball's over to the right hand side of the pitch, we'll shuffle across and we'll pull in the right wing back, whoever it is. But we don't pull him in tight to me. We just pull him in towards the edge of the area. And so you go across. And as soon as the ball's flipped, now you know as well as I do, right? And this is where people don't get a three at the back. They don't understand the three at the back. And I'm not being negative or rude to anybody. But what you want when you're doing three at the back, Jarvis, you want their winger to go for the cross 40-yard pass. That's what you're looking for. You want him to switch the play 40 yards across. And once the ball's in,
and you have time.
Whistling away, tying your shoelaces, you're just going like that across to the side. And by the time the ball lands to him, you're set in a position. That's what Phil's talking about. That is the key to three at the back. there's no rocket science, but it is a Phil. No rocket science whatsoever to it. And if they're a little bit quick, you just drop one slightly, and so you kind of have like a V shape. So you just want you just drop one side, but the momentum from side to side is the key. And if you can get that right, and you can get players, especially at Phil's lad's age. I used to coach my boy. He's 23 now, Phil, so he doesn't want to know me at footy. But I used to coach him, and we used to do the pendulum effect moving forward as well. All the team together, backwards and forwards, so that and what it does, it just demonstrates collectiveness, connectivity, and it just makes you that little bit harder to beat, doesn't it, with a well-drilled side. So it's a brilliant point that Phil's made that Phil's made there for three at the back. Absolutely brilliant point. But Wan-Bissaka, that's the bit that I zoned in at straight away, only because I'm a full, I can play full back as well, and I know. And I talk about zones all the time, don't I, Jarvis?
You do.
When I'm on that pitch, I just talk about my own area of the pitch. I don't care about everyone else's. I talk about my area of the pitch. And what you're talking about, your lad saying, look, mate, you're 10 yards too deep, too far. I need you 10 yards back. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about your zonal area. And once you get that under control, it then just aids and abets, doesn't it, to the other part of the game. Brilliant analogy, that part. Brilliant analogy.
Yeah. Stephanie Griffith comes in, keeping the count 56 likes, and we're actually 91 people watching on all platforms. So everybody who's watching from Twitter or on any other platforms, come to YouTube and give us a like. I just want to bring up one more thing before we go, because at the end of the show we'll do a Q&A session. I have a lot of questions saved up for you guys, and VAR room. Keep those questions coming. I want to go back to the average position of the team. And here you see I've circled around number 10 and number 17. Number 17, that's Garnacho. And number 10 is Rashford. So as you see here, Rashford's average position is more on the wing, not as much cutting in as we used to. And you see the furthest player up the pitch is Garnacho centrally. This is his average position for the 420 minutes. So it tells you a lot about Garnacho's versatility, how he played in the game, how he was instructed to play, Ten Hag's tactics. And you could see always Rashford, he had 5 key passes during this game, and they all came from the same area around the 18-yard box, right around here, and he just passed them in because we had runners coming with Garnacho coming in, we had the McTominay coming in, and Bruno and all of those attackers. Phil, did you notice this little tactical twist from Ten Hag with Garnacho and Rashford? And you could actually see them working well together.
Yeah, you could see it. Sorry, I was just trying to. I was trying to think who Liverpool's left back was yesterday. It was Robertson.
Yeah,
it's funny that you forget him because he's the most annoying character on the pitch. But anyway, so that aside, yeah, I think at the end of the day, one of the things that you saw. I can't remember, there was a certain moment in the middle of the game where you saw Garnacho and Rashford completely swap wings. Obviously, a tactical switch which Ten Hag had to put in at some point during the game, swap wings or whatever. You see a bit of pace or a bit of movement or whatever it is, or just to mix things up a little bit. And you're seeing them playing together. One of the things when Stu was talking about McTominay before, and how he's changing his style, I think part of it. And I might be wrong, but it talked a bit about the mental side of things again. Players aren't really on McTominay's back anymore. So you can play with that a little bit of freedom. We know he's got the desire. He's always had it, because there was only maybe 4 or 5 years ago, people were begging for him to be captain because of his attitude and his desire to, and what he was coming out. He wasn't afraid when United made a mistake or had a bad game. He wasn't afraid to come out and say, we weren't good enough. So he's got those sort of attributes, right? And now that no one can take away how many vital points he's got us this season, how many vital moments he's got us this season. And it frustrates me. I know people saying, McTominay is not good enough, get rid of him at end of season. It's like, we were saying this last season. And I know that we're potentially going to have an influx of some money, but at the end of the day, why would you get rid of one? I'm not saying he's a star player. I'm not saying he's a world-class player. I'm not saying he's the best out there. But for what he's bringing to United right now, whether it's balance, whether it's versatility, I just don't think it's a player that you get rid of. But sorry, going back to Garnacho anyway. You talk about Garnacho and Rashford. Absolutely, you're seeing that sort of development of them. And the point I was making was Rashford. It's off his back a little bit, all the taunts. People, whether it's since that interview or before the interview, I know he's still not as everybody wants him to make every run, every time, every tackle, every time. Every character is different. We spoke before about different bulk and how it impacts your running and stuff like that. And you look at Rashford, he is a bit more bulk than others who might run. He's not like a big lad like Traore sort of thing. But at the end of the day, is he learning to manage his energy better, sort of thing, up and down the pitch. People never used to slate Ronaldo because he would score the goals. But when you stop and look at his heat map and his running and how much he didn't do that much at all. And he hasn't done throughout his career. He's a very good player. I'm not comparing Rashford to Ronaldo, but what I'm saying is now that it's off it, that you can see his confidence is coming back with his decision making. It was probably about 5 or 6 games ago where everyone was saying, get rid of him, he shouldn't be wearing the shirt again. You see him trying to go one-on-one on the left wing, and you can see the moment it came to his foot, he ain't going to get past that guy because he didn't believe it himself. And I'm not saying you are seeing over the last 2 or 3 games some moments where he's great footwork, he's lost his player, and whereas he gone and he's in the box, he's got a cross coming in, but he's also making decisions now. He's making the right passes. He's not feeling that same pressure to have to score. Now it's about what can we do as a team, and I think that is a massive change in his game. It's all about that pressure. I know that they're still human and people are paying money to watch them, and there was moments, there's no doubt about it, where he wasn't running and didn't appear to be trying it. And you still saw a bit of that yesterday. But at the end of the day, he's a human who is frustrated. Stu, anybody who's played football will know in a moment, I'm supposed to be playing football tomorrow night and never play. If I make a mistake, which I guarantee I will because I'm terrible, I'll make a mistake. And I'll be like, oh, I'll be screaming, I'll be huffing, but it doesn't mean I'll give up. I'm just annoyed at myself in the moment.
I gave a goal away last weekend, Phil. I gave a goal away last weekend. I was saying to Jarvis on the show on Monday night, I said the ball came to me, I controlled it, and I looked at it, and then it kind of, as I controlled it, I took it down nicely, but then my big toe touched it, and it fucking caused this massive spin on the ball, and it kind of went behind me, and before I knew what happened, one of the lads had just dropped in, got in and scored, and I'm like, after I'd abused the player running back, because I give him plenty of fucking abuse for jamming back and all that kind of stuff, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck have you done? You're better than that. Get a grip, mate. Get a grip. The next 2 minutes, I'm chunching away to myself. You an idiot. Get the ball. I'm laying off 2 yards. That's it. That's all you get from me. 2 yards. Let me get my head right, and we're back in again. Yeah. You're absolutely right about Rashford. I think you're right also. I think he's started to regulate his pace during the game. I think, I'd noticed that as well.
Before you talk more about that, I just want to show you guys. This is the orange dots here is the Rashford's 5 key passes, and you can see the area where they come from. Yes, that's what you're talking about, and what you're mentioning. They're regulating his pace, sprinting, stopping. The stop and go motion, and yesterday it gave him an advantage. So he did his key passes from the same area all the time. And if I just bring in Garnacho's key passes at the game, there you see his 5 key passes, but 3 of them are almost from the same area, as you see. So we really exploited that area of the pitch yesterday.
Can you put both on at the same time?
Yeah, no problem. Garnacho and Rashford.
Right back.
Look at that. It just shows you, doesn't it?
They were quite weak at right back for whatever reason yesterday. And it's quite interesting that. I mean, you do see that and you notice certain things during the game, but it's when you see that heat map, you understand just how good Wan-Bissaka was yesterday, just based on that heat map alone. And again, you can see The only issue and criticism I've got is if you can put that back up, those key passes are ideal, but they don't attack the diagonal enough for me. That, you know, get in there and cause a Phil, I know this if it's a left back or whatever, or a right back, get in there and cause a full back to be on the, you know, on the back foot all the time.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think this was the plan, because Liverpool and Van
well,
Dijk seldomly drop back into their own box. They are on the front foot defending, and Ten Hag noticed this, so there was room to run in behind with McTominay and the other.
Disappointing part about that, though, is when you look at the attacking possession that we've got, we probably only netted once from that kind of position, which is a shame, but there you go.
Yeah, we created a lot of big chances.
We did create. You know me, Joe. I was going to be critical a little bit.
I know.
I Phil would have popped a couple of headers in there, wouldn't you, pal? As the balls were coming in.
You've never seen me play. I enjoy playing. Let's put it that way.
You are, sorry.
I enjoy playing.
That's all the football's about. That's all it's about. Is enjoyment. Yeah. And the thing is, you know, we talk about you know, Manchester United, Liverpool, or whatever. You can't enjoy playing football. You've actually got to enjoy putting your pegs on every day, every Saturday, every Sunday, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You got to enjoy putting your pegs on, and away you go. Enjoy it. You know, that's all football's about. That's all it is.
Nice. Yeah, we are 1 hour, 20 minutes into the show. People, remember to hit the like, hit the subscribe. But now we want to go to the Q&A session. So I leave the hosting share to Stu, and he will take it away from here.
Yes. Yeah, Phil. So me and Jarvis have introduced a Q&A session in the last few weeks, and it's gone down quite well. So we get a lot of questions in. I do a bit of hosting, and then Jarvis gets to talk, and he loves that part. So let's see what we've got, and let's see if we can stitch Mr. Standish up early doors. Let's see if we can have him nailed early doors.
And by the way, people, get your questions in, because now is the time. We will answer as many as we can. 106 people watching. Hit the like.
We're going to go with Rebir's question, and it's always a volatile question, this. And Rebir says, hope we're all Ten Hag in now, Mr. Standish. Were you ever Ten Hag out, I guess, is the question.
No, I wasn't Ten Hag out. And I'll tell you the reason I wasn't Ten Hag out, because I'm sick of this manager roundabout. People think that you change the manager and it solves the problem. Nah, somebody's got to, you've seen it with Arteta. I mean, I'm in other WhatsApp groups and stuff like that. And a lot of Arsenal fans in there, and the defense that they're giving to Arteta and saying, you know, even they were like, get him out, when I think there was about 12 games in a row where he only got one draw and the rest were losses a season or two ago. And how did he survive that moment? Well, whatever it was, somebody believed in him and believed in what he was trying to bring. And with Ten Hag, what I want to see is, and I know you're never going to get a season where every player's fit, but Jayling, I don't think they're on here tonight. But she said she started to watch the show, sort of thing. She put a great some stats out on X in the week. Last week it was about the number of injuries that the top 5 or 6 have had, something like that. And one of the things that I was chatting to, one of the things I wanted to draw from it more was the fact of not just how many injuries we've had, but how many days we've had injuries for. And how many of those positions have been centre back or midfield or attack, sort of thing, and it just showed you what I've been harping on about for most of the season, where people say, "Oh, it's nothing to do with it. You got to play with the players in front of you." Well, you have, but you've got to be able to develop the players in front of you. You know, you know yourself from coaching kids football. You've got a plan. You've got an idea. You know that this player does this, that player does this. This player works well with that player. This player knows that player is going to make those runs. You make one change, it's like, how is that going to impact the game? How are we going to impact that? You know, one person's away on holiday, one of the kids, sort of thing, and you're thinking, right, okay, how do we change this about to keep us, give us a chance? I know it's different in Premier League, and you've got a much higher caliber of players, but at the end of the day, it's similar principles. And when you look at, you know, when you go back to Sir Alex with De Gea, when he first joined, he needed time to settle with a settled back four. That's his wall. That's what he needs in front of him. He's got to learn where they're going to make those movements, how they're going to make those passes, whether they're going to make those runs, whether they can control the ball, all that sort of thing. So to see a settled back four would be a miracle for Ten Hag, because that's where it starts. And Onana trying to settle into a team the way he has, with all the criticism, with the mistakes he knows he made in the Champions League, which I just can't remember the name of it. It's been that long since we've seen it. You know, and then come back the way he has and put out that sort of performance he did yesterday with, I think it's 21 different defensive changes he's had, back lines he started with over the season. 21. That's not by choice because he's tinkering and can't decide what to do because Ten Hag can't manage, because he's got nobody. He's got his right back playing left back. He's got Antony, his right winger, playing left back to finish a game. He's got Harry Maguire. This is not about this. You know, Ten Hag out. I'd love to see. You know, you'll know yourself, Stu. You know, when you're doing that coaching, you're trying to teach kids something, and if they miss one training session, and you were showing it those kids who were there last week, well, and you want to bring it into the game, well, they didn't know it, so you can't really play with that. And I know with the professionals, they've had loads of training sort of thing, but if you're trying to implement something or build something, and you've got players who are out like Mason Mount and stuff like that, I feel sorry for the guy. You know, he came in yesterday, and if I'm honest, I don't think he did too much, but it was just great to see him back, and it was a boost. And it's like, okay, we're coming back. We've got another player back, and maybe he did run about a bit and get a better mixed up and throw some energy into midfield. But he's not going to have seen being part of all this sort of tactical training that's been going on all season. So what I want to see is Ten Hag. It's not about the money. I know he's going to be given a little bit of an injection of money to get some more players of his style, but I want to see him to have a fit squad for a long enough period to see how they can perform when he's got his best players available and fit. And, you know, like Eriksen, who's at the end of his career, there's no doubt about it. Casemiro, his legs are going. You can see it. I'm not saying he's not a quality player, but you can see those moments. And he's got the mind, but he's not got the legs. So what you want to see, he's brought Mainu through. And people say, oh, yeah, he's just brought himself through. Well, you've got to be developed. You've got to be developed into that position. Garnacho has been brought, you know, given the chance. We spoke about Diallo. We've seen Willy Kamwala. Who was he six weeks ago? Some people who watch the reserves will know about him, but others are like, hang on. And he's not looked phased once in the moment he's been on the pitch. No, so, that's about the whole structure of United, and I'm not talking about the Glazers. I'm talking about with the academy, etc., and full credit to those. But Ten Hag's got to be given a chance with, and people say, I'm not Ten Hag out now.
No, well, me and Jarvis are with you on that one as well. Yeah, Phil. So, Rebbe, thank you very much for your question. I hope Phil's answered that. I think he answered it brilliantly. I should take this one. I'll be very, very quick about it. Mados, you know, I think you're brilliant, mate, but I have a bit of a bugbear with professional footballers that aren't multi-footed. I am as amateur as it gets, and I can play equally as good with my right or my left peg. And I'm sure Mr. Standage himself can play with both feet as well. It's just can you play with any feet, Phil? You know, my lad when he was coming through was particularly left-footed, Madas, and so what I used to do with training is if you were left-footed, you could only play with your right foot during games. So if you wanted a match, you could only play with your opposite foot, and that's how I learned to do it when I was a tiddler coming through in the 70s. And it stands you in good stead to be able to play with both feet. So he should have been practicing when he was 6, pal, not when he's 23, in my humble opinion. Jarvis.
Yes, sir.
Georgie Best. Gents, do you agree? Finally, the finishing has kicked it in. We've waited all season, and yesterday it came to fruition.
Yeah. It started, things starting to cook now when we go forward. I think it comes down to a lot of things, but for me, it's about the rhythm, it's about the movement, especially off the ball movement. You see players, we have a lot of runs going at the same time, and that makes it so much harder for the defense to keep up, because you're getting dragged out to all the area, and we make space for each other. So we're starting to be more collectively stronger going forward. And of course, Højlund hitting form, Garnacho hitting form, Rashford hitting form at the same time now. So all the stars are aligning at the same time. So I think our finishing is kicking in, George Best, and I think you're completely right. We are waiting. We have been waiting for this all season, and now we see the result. We can still improve. It's not perfect. As Stu always mentioned, he wants the angles, the cut-ins, or what do you call it, to be better.
Yeah, diagonal. Yeah, and when you do go, sorry, Jarvis, you're right. When you go to the byline, it's always very difficult to pick somebody out. So you've got to get it just before you hit that line at about 2 or 3, and just get it whipped up. Actually, kind of use the bottom of your foot like that to whip it up and over. It gives you more of a chance than trying to flick it across. It was interesting. Rashford popped one across, didn't he, yesterday, right across the face of goal. And I think Antony was doing his bootlace up at the time because he was nowhere near where he should have been. He should have been ghosted at the back post, and he'd have had a goal. I just adding to what you said, I think you're right. I think we are a bit more clinical now. I think we're a bit more measured when we're in front of goal. Even though Rashford missed his chance, he was quite measured with his strike. But Diallo's was just in his actually Rashford's goal when that ball was coming because it wasn't the best ball of McTominay. When you look at it from behind McTominay, it did bobble just a little bit, but it enabled Rashford just to wrap his foot around it nicely. Keller had no chance.
Yeah, but Stu, talking about McTominay, especially that episode, I was very impressed with McTominay because of his timing. Because he has the ice, to wait until he made Van Dijk make a decision. Should he go right or left? And then we have again the off the ball movement. You had 2 runs. We have Rashford on one side. Who was on the other side? Was it Garnacho spreading?
Garnacho,
Garnacho. So Van Dijk was like this, trying to defend, and McTominay just hold on to the ball until the exact second Van Dijk made the decision, okay, he's going for Garnacho. Then the ball came on the other side to Rashford. So again,
I'll tell you what, on that goal as well, the weight of the pass was exceptional from McTominay. If that was a little bit slower, he would have got tackled. He'd have had to turn his body back to get to the ball. It would have been a bit further in front of him. He would have been stretching and stuff. It was absolutely perfect. So I know that Rashford, as you say, did have to, but he had 2 defenders on him. He made the run. He read the pass, and he just knew he had to hit it first time. And it was a much better goal than is going to be given.
And the finishing was excellent from Rashford. He just kind of dinked it while running, taking the keeper totally off guard with that shot. So a lot of things is happening at the moment. But for me, I always talk about the rhythm, and now we see the rhythm coming back. The players understand each other. And another thing that I have noticed, we attack with more depth. We have several runs. We have people going on the first post, going far, going middle, going short. So we always have the options of the cutback or the hard on the ground in front of goal. So we have a lot of options going forward. And this is another thing I think Ten Hag has been working on, because we are attacking with a lot of players. We are playing the 3-1-6 formation, as everybody has heard, all seasons long. But the good thing with it is we have a lot of bodies in the box. But we need to utilize it.
Yeah, we are. We're attacking much better. And you're quite right. Big Scott McTominay got the better of the greatest defender ever to play football, according to Liverpool fans. One thing I would point out is that Diallo's strike, and I can't remember the young lad's name. He's just come into the team, hasn't he? He got sold out to dry by himself. I can't remember the young lad for Liverpool at the back. Scored a couple of goals.
Bradley,
I think.
Is it Bradley? Was it or
Bradley at the right back? Who was going up against Diallo?
Yeah. Did you just notice what Diallo did with his right shoulder as the ball came across? He just quickly dropped his right shoulder. Didn't move his run, and it gave Bradley that issue. That's why he was all over the place. one other thing about finishing, by the way, he got nowhere else to go with that. It was either there or it was wide. He got nowhere else to go with that. Nowhere else. People were saying that Keller was at fault. No chance. That was as pinpoint as you're going to get. And, you know,
I think when you're stood in those goals, it's easy to watch it on TV thinking, oh, he could have gone to his left. When you're stood in the goals, you realise how big they are.
Yeah,
you know, and it looks like Diallo rolls the ball into the back of the net in terms of it, like it trickles. It doesn't at all. He's possibly stretching, but he's aiming for that corner, as you say. You know, at the end of the day, Keller has got to stand big for as long as possible, because otherwise he's just going to cut it in his front post, on it to his right, sort of thing. Exactly. So he's got to hold that moment, and only when a split second, when you think he's not going to feint, he's going to shoot, that's when he's got to dive, and he's got a lot of space to get across. So well played to Diallo. Absolutely fantastic composure.
Brilliant goal. Georgie Best, as always, mate, thank you for your question. Madhouse, we've kind of covered this. Phil kind of covered that in the opening question, so thank you again for that. Danny B, who am I going to give this one to? Phil, I'll give you this one to you then. Question about Wan-Bissaka. Should we do a poll to see if he stays for another year? Or, well, they're saying here he was immense for the first 35 minutes. I thought he had a really good game anyway. You're never going to have 90 minutes worth of, the best game you can play, etc. So, Phil, what do you think on that one?
I think it's one of them, man. One of these people who doesn't want to see people leave United. You probably guessed that through most of my answers and feedback I give on a lot of things. Even when some players who just haven't had it, Vegas last season, I was gutted to see him leave. Not because he had the desire, and you think, oh, if he could just, then he'd be. And it wasn't happening. But with Wan-Bissaka, you think, as I said before, I feel like he's really developed his game under Ten Hag this season. He's not diving the same. He's been unlucky with an injury, as many of the players this season. And it'll just be good to see how he performs at left back, because if he can play left and right, he can be that. What we need is, we've said for so many years, look at the Uniteds of great sort of thing. They had a squad depth of with a bit of quality in there. And I'm not saying, and we've got to build back up to that. And you don't just get rid of I mean, there was talk of Wan-Bissaka going for like thingy from Palace, Ezri sort of thing.
Yeah.
And if you're talking like a swap deal, and you're kind of going, well, okay, well, we really need that position fulfilling, and we probably could let him go. What I don't want to see in the transfer window is any player leaving until we've got our replacement ready. We've been there, we've messed that up before, and we've got to get it right. So that's my answer on that.
No,
going on the panel vote before we bring in Mick Ruby's gifted 5 membership. I just want to have my vote on Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's one of those. I'm not 100% sure if he suits Ten Hag's tactics and style, but he's extremely reliable, and he's the best one-on-one defender defensively. So I'm very torn when it comes to Wan-Bissaka. I would like him to stay, but I don't think he's the future of Ten Hag's Man United. So maybe he needs to go this summer.
Okay. The Gaffer has gifted 5 memberships. Oh, sorry. Oh, well, I've got to get the sorry, Nick. There you go. 5 members, yeah.
We have 5 new members: Steffi Jenkins, Jared Rigo, Polowski, Dublin Games, big up the Irish, and Bexy. So welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. And Danny, thank you very much for your question. It's a question that's definitely split opinion on the panel. And the reason is I kind of lean with Phil on this one. I'd like to see him stay.
Yep.
But I like Wan-Bissaka anyway, as you well know, Jarvis, my old mate. Raj has come up with a question here, and this is for the fullback hating Jarvis. Will Ten Hag convert Dalot to CDM? Well,
Yeah.
great question.
Well,
Short
that's a
answer
good
to
question.
that.
I will have a go. And when it comes to Dalot, I haven't. I'm not fully convinced that he could play as a CDM. I don't think he have the awareness when it comes to playing a midfielder. It's easier to play centrally when you drift in and you're not marked. You know, you don't have have an opposition defending on you at the moment, so it gives you more space. So it make him look a little bit better than he actually is. But when you play centrally, one of the things you don't never have space because you have players all around you, and I'm not quite sure if Dalot will take that role. It's differently tucking in. But you know, going a little bit back to Wan-Bissaka, this is what I miss from Wan-Bissaka, tucking in, because I think we need a fullback on each side so we can be more leveled when we attack, because we are very left-sided now when we attack because of Dalot's the only fullback who tucks in and helps out the midfield, and the other fullback bumps up. So I would like to see it from both sides. Bringing in someone like Daley Blind that he had in Ajax would be great, and really intelligent player who knows how to fill his role. So this is actually what I'm talking about when it comes to Wan-Bissaka. But no, I don't think Dalot can play the CDM.
Very well put. No, I yeah, come in, Phil. Yeah, please.
Can I just ask a question back to that?
Yep.
Why? That's my answer. Why? Because based on the fact that so many fans are saying Dalot's potentially one of players of the season from right back.
I could probably answer that.
So
because I could probably answer that. He's a bit rash for a start. His positional sense is dodgy at best, really. So if you watch him sometimes, Phil, he's very comfortable final third. He's very uncomfortable defensive third. Jarvis is right. He does kind of tuck in and he leaves a gap. And when you've got Garnacho who doesn't come and help, that's why we've been attacked down the left a lot. I don't think his distribution and his passing is good enough for a CDM. There's only one player that can convert to a CDM in our current squad from the back, and that's Leacher. And before everyone jumps on me and said, well, he's already played there anyway, it's not about that. He's got it here. Play CDM, you've got to have it here. I always say, Phil, Jarvis laughs at me, but I always say that 90% of football's here, 10% to your legs, because your brain's telling you what to do. Your brain tells you where to go, what to do, how to pass it, and what to do. Dalot just hasn't got that level of intelligence to be able to play a CDM. I think it's a brilliant question, and I get it. I do get it. I know why, and you're right. And the question you've asked, Phil, is equally brilliant because, well, some people would say he's player of the year. Look, you can't argue with what he's done for the side this year. I just don't see him with that intelligence. Yeah, I know people will say, well, you know, you don't have to be intelligent to be CDM, but you do. You ever watch Casemiro?
Yeah, you have to be very intelligent.
Well,
Casemiro operates in 5 to 10 yard spurts. That's all he does. He'll walk 5 yards, maybe 10 yards, stop, and just have a quick look around, see what's happening. But where he positions himself, he's ideal for transition. If we get the ball turned over, he's ideal. When he's got the players around him, he's ideal. He's positioned ideally. Rodri's an absolute master at it. I hate him. I can hate Rodri. But he's got that down to an absolute T. And they just walk around. Have you ever seen Rodri sprint?
He doesn't need to because he controls the game with his mind, doesn't he? He knows where he's got to be, makes the right decisions. He's a quality player.
I hate him. I fucking hate him. That means if I hate a player, Phil, he's quality.
I get it.
And that's the reason I wouldn't. It's a dead no for me, Raja. Great question, though, mate. And that was always going to divide opinion as well, I thought. So really good question. Yeah, I'll open this one to either of you, really. Eric did well yesterday, big decisions and went for it. I'll just quickly give you my 2 penneth and it'll be very, very quick. My favourite saying in football, Phil, is sometimes you've got to go rogue. Sometimes you've got to look across to the gaffer, tell him to do one with your eyes. Don't listen to him. Tell your skipper to go off and play your own game. And on the odd occasion, it will lead you to that win. because players and coaches, and you know as well as I do, the game evolves a hell of a lot during. You set your team out to do one thing, but the game evolves, doesn't it, to do another. And then if you can see something, and your coach is telling you to do something, and the captain is telling you to do something, stick the fingers up and do your own thing, and sometimes it'll get you across the game. My opinion of Ten Hag yesterday, based on your opening statements, that's what he did. He went rogue. For the first time ever, as Manchester United manager, he thought, fuck it. Whatever we've decided to do in training, bollocks to it. And I'm going to do this. And that was my opinion. So credit where credit's due.
What do you think, Jarvis?
Yeah, he did very well yesterday. As I talked about the tactics, but when you talk about big decisions, it's substitutions, bringing in, for example, we haven't spoken about Maguire coming in and putting him in the opposite box, starting to put Liverpool under pressure. I think that was one of the vital moments of the game. Liverpool panicked when the big Maguire came into their box. They didn't know what to do about it. And they were so under pressure that they couldn't be composed when they got the ball. They couldn't play out from the back. They could only clear the ball, and we could just pick it down and attack again. And we did it over and over again. So the last 10 minutes was one of the most crazy minutes I ever seen on a football pitch with this Man United team. It was amazing to see. But Harry Maguire was one of those. So these are the big decisions that Ten Hag need to get right. And he's a gambler, and he showed that yesterday. He made a huge gamble and he succeeded.
Yeah.
So, but as a fan, I can accept that if we have lost, okay, but we tried, and I would see more from this Ten Hag.
Did anybody pick up on Klopp's comments? I know there's been lots of interviews spread with the stuff where he was insulting the journalists and stuff, but I think I felt like he was really insulting Ten Hag in one of his comments. He said, I can't remember the exact wording, but he said something along the lines of, he basically said they went rogue, and we didn't think on it, sort of thing. We didn't act on it. We didn't make the right decisions ourselves. Because when you look at that moment where they had 5-on-2 at the back, that was the game. That was their moment to win the game, and they didn't take it. And that was because we had gone rogue. It's simple. But and I know that I think Craig just said a little bit further up. Yeah, different mentality. There you go. Yes and no. Yes, because it was a cup final. Not, but you know what I mean? In the moment, it was our cup final. And it's all we had left to play for officially in terms of a trophy. But at the end of the day, if we're losing a game in the Premier League 2-1 with 2 minutes to go, why is it a different mentality? It's still a game lost. So I agree what you're saying, Craig, in terms of you've got to go for it. Well, why have you not to go for it if you're losing in the Premier League? If you're drawing 1-1, and then it is a different mentality. I agree. If you're drawing 1-1, 2-1, whatever it might be, thinking, do we roll the dice? Do we go for the win, or do we take the point now, sort of thing? That is where it's a different mentality, and that's where you've got to make those decisions. And sometimes I would like to see Ten Hag be a little bit bolder in those, but at the end of the day, every point is valuable when you're fighting for that last position.
Totally agree. I mean, rumour has it that Virgil van Dijk appeared at Carrington this morning, as Maguire still had him in his pocket from yesterday's game. So that's the rumour. He was absolutely superb. The greatest defender ever wilted. What a shame. Well answered, lads. Really well answered. Mark's got a question. Jarvis, we will go to you on this one. Hi guys, how much do you think United will spend this summer, and how many players will leave United? Really interesting. I think if you asked quickly, Mark, 100 people, you get 100 different answers on this one. I don't think anyone's aligned. So go for it, Jarvis.
Well, speaking realistically, we know it's hard for us to offload players, and we have Ineos coming in, but the Glazers are still the majority owner, and they run the financial bit of the club, and it's about taking a loss on the spreadsheets. So I don't think they will just give away players for free. And another thing is, we have huge wages on a lot of these players, so they're really hard to sell and get some money for them. So I'm not sure. I don't think we will sell as many players as people expect. I think this will be a process. It will take more than one transfer window. It will maybe take 2, 3, or maybe as much as 4 transfer windows before we have the clear the squad in a way that we would like. But this summer, I think I think we could ship off at least 5 players, I believe, and bring in 5. That would be a big window, I believe.
Okay, Phil.
I think for me, he's trying hard, but he's just not. He's not where we need. And one of the players I think probably needs to go is Lindelof. I think he's done well when he's give his all. There's no doubt he's give his all. You know, we bought him as Iceman, and he's never really been that person. He's never really been the defender under different managers that we were hoping for him to be. He's had moments. Don't get me wrong. He's had some great moments, but I think consistency, and he just seems to switch off for a split second in key moments, and you just think sometimes he's caught out position, or he's not quite made the right decision. So for me, he's one that probably needs to go, especially with all the talk of the different centre backs that we're looking at and stuff like that. What we've seen this season is that you need a squad depth. So, and I understand that we need to sort the wage bill out. So one of the things that I'm seeing sort of in the press over the last few weeks is that such a player has been linked to us and they want such an amount for them, and then straight away you're seeing it shut down going, but United aren't willing to pay that. It's like, great, that's refreshing, you know. So it looks like we're not going to be mugs. You know, we've read about Todibo, and he's not going to get the discount from the Ineos link sort of thing, and maybe that was all paper talk anyway at the end of the day. But the point is, we're not going to get sucked into stupid deals. You know, we're seeing Jarrod Branthwaite. Could be an absolute great player for us. Reminds me a little bit like the Phil Jones signing when we got him from Blackburn. You know, at 18.5 million. I remember exactly where I was when it broke on TalkSport. Dare I say it? Other radio stations are available. I remember the moment. And remember a few weeks before watching on Match of the Day, Alan Shearer and that saying, "What a player he is! Whoever gets him is going to be really lucky." And we know it never worked out for him. But it feels to me like he's that sort of player who could potentially be the next big thing. And I know Phil didn't make it, but, you know, I think Jarrod Branthwaite has got a chance, and we're seeing his price creeping up as Everton need a bit more money and they're trying to get out of this issue that they're in sort of thing. But again, I just think we're going to make some right decisions. So how much are we going to spend in the window? I don't know it's about how much. I think we're going to spend sensibly. We're not going to get caught into the breaches that other clubs have got caught into. And at no point it's great to see of United even being suggested of any, or that I've seen anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, of any wrongdoings. And for whatever reason, whether that's because the Glazers didn't want to put the hand in the pocket or what, I don't know. But whatever reason, going forward, we know we're getting the right structure with all the board changes and everything, and we're going to make the right decisions. So how many will leave? Well, I think the number of players that will leave will be those who, I think we'll see more possibly go on loan rather than just kind of leave, because we have invested in the likes of Diallo, that sort of player, sort of thing. I think if Antony stays, it depends on how the rest of his season goes with these last few games to go. If he stays and is putting in behind the scenes what is being said, and he can start to put that on the pitch, then he can start to earn his money in his last chance saloon. We saw it with Andreas Pereira for maybe 3-4 years too many, but he kept giving a chance. And now looking at it, I think he's one of a really good player for Fulham. He's fitting into that team. But with Antony and others, I think, you know, you're going to see some given a chance. Ten Hag has got to prove to the management, this is why I wanted this player, this is what I can see, sort of thing. So I think we'll still see somebody's saying Mason Mount out. He's been out injured all half season. You can't just get rid of someone like that. You got Chelsea fans laughing, going, we didn't want him anyway and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think we just need to see what we've got with the squad, who are fit, and then we can start to make those decisions. So I can't answer it direct, Mark. Sorry, I don't think it's about a value. I think it's about spending smart and letting the players go. People still saying get rid of McTominay. Well, he's one of these players who doesn't really get injured. He is a reliable person you can call on. He is willing to come off the bench. He wanted to stay at United when it was like Maguire and McTominay were pretty much, everyone was begging them to leave and calling them mercenaries for sticking around for the money and stuff. But they've just got on with it because they actually want to play for the club. They could have left and gone to another team, but they want to. So I want to play someone. I want someone who wants to play for the badge.
Yeah, it's a tough. I agree with both of you. Actually, I don't think you've both been superb in your articulation. I'm with you guys. I don't think you're going to see anything major. I think we'll bring 3 players in max, maybe 4. Somebody like Kilman from Wolves, I'd take all day week. Polinia from Fulham, I think it'd be suitable with Maino, and a striker of some description. The one I would bring in, I can't say on this channel because Mark will be going nuts, calling him a trophy killer, and that's Sir Harry Kane. Whether you like him or not, he would be perfect for us. But unfortunately, and this pains me to say it, I think the mighty Harry Maguire is your next West Ham captain. And it really does pain me to say it because I totally agree with you, Phil. And Jarvis knows what I think about Maguire. And I just think he's been absolutely superb since he's got his head straight again. I agree with you guys on Lindelof. I think you're absolutely right. And I think there'll be some minor casualties on the periphery of the squad. The interesting thing that I think, it's not just us, it's going to be all teams are going to be in this bubble of fear about what's going to happen with City. Forest have had 4 points taken off them today, haven't they? We've potentially got a tax bill issue, I'm hearing, on certain things. So there's a lot going to play out between what we can and cannot do in terms of transfers. So don't expect anything big, guys. But let's expect, and I think what Phil and Jarvis are talking about is smart shopping, not big shopping. And I think that's what we'll get, guys. Reba is back in. Phil's, again, he's answered this a bit earlier on in the show, pal. So is Jarvis, talking about young players and playing time. I think we've spoken about that quite extensively. So thanks for the question, Reba, but we have kind of covered that. Lillis to come in with a good question. The legend that is Lillis. And he's talking about change in the team. I'll pick this up quickly if you don't mind, fellas. Lillis, if you watch the beginning of the show, it's something that I mentioned, something Phil's mentioned, and something that Jarvis has mentioned. We're here now, pal. That's it. You cannot be here anymore. You are here. We can't, as fans, as a manager, as players, men themselves, they cannot afford to drop below the standards that they set yesterday. And Phil's absolutely right. It's an irrelevance what type of match it is. It's still a match. You play for Manchester United. There's your ceiling, guys. Chip in.
Yeah, Phil.
Yeah, I think as you echo what you've just said, Stu. At the end of the day, we've said it throughout the show tonight, sort of thing. The question's slightly different to what we've answered because it's, do you think something's going to change? Not do we expect or do we want? Do we think something's going to change? I think something did change yesterday, and we'll find out against Brentford in our next match whether or not we come with that right attitude, that die for the shirt sort of thing. I always I always look at Wes Brown. I know he wasn't the best player that we had, but he'd die for the shirt. He'd throw himself at anything. He'd give his all in every second he was on the pitch, sort of thing. Some of those players, we saw that yesterday, and we need to see that consistently now to the end of the season, fighting for everything we've got.
Totally.
Yeah. And I just want to add on that. I think we will see a different approach than everybody believes. We know we have the media hyping up. We are linked to this player, to that player, all of these. I think it will be a quiet window. We don't want to hear. We won't hear many rumors. We will just buy them. I think Ineos will keep it close. I think we'll go for Premier League proven players. I have been giving a shout to Anthony Robinson at Fulham, the left back. I think he's fantastic. And you mentioned Brentwaite. Anthony Gordon at the Newcastle, for example, player with a lot of power and a lot of stamina and attitude. And Jared Bowen, for example, he would be a striker, a winger I would go for. Players like that, I think we will see coming in this summer, not the big name that everybody wants. So this is the difference.
That's interesting
what
because I mentioned before I joined this channel a couple of years ago, Jarvis was in the comments on the show was on, Phil, and I mentioned that we should bring in Connor Cody for stability. And Jarvis actually agreed with me, but I got absolutely slaughtered by the fan base. You've got to think bigger than that. And all. I just think, honestly, just use your brain, just for 1 second, just use your brain and think about it. And the types of players you're talking about, Branthwaite, Max Kilman. Max Kilman's the player he is today because of Connor Cody. That partnership, that on-field coaching that Cody did. And Robinson, you're absolutely right, from Fulham. What a signing he would be. And he's, 20, 25 million? I think Paulinho, if we could get him again, chances are we go to Bayern Munich. We know all this, but if you could try and get that ilk of player who's played in the Premier League, and who knows what it is, so that when he pulls on a shirt, that's it. He just gets on with it because he's been doing it for 2, 3, 4 seasons. Branthwaite, I don't know where we'll be with Branthwaite. I think Everton will overprice him, and I think that's based on, I think they're going to have money, financial issues, and I just think they're going to overcost him. And you're going to have to, I think you'll have to hold your nerve with Branthwaite. You might be able to get him for 40 rather than 70 or 80 that's being quoted at the minute. But Everton are going to need to recoup some kind of money, aren't they? But there's some super. Jarvis, I love what you talk about Jared Bowen. I love stuff like that. Why not? Why not? No, he's not Manchester United quality. Well, what is Manchester United quality today, right now? What is Manchester United quality? I think Jared Bowen's a great one. Tony's going to go to Arsenal, isn't he? But, you're going to fork out, 60, 70, 80, 90 million for Ivan Toney? 60 million for Watkins? Bowen will be a lot cheaper. And he knows where the goal is, doesn't he? It's really interesting. You got Gibbs White out of Forest.
Swap deal for Maguire.
Yeah, you got Gibbs White out of Forest. Gibbs White destroyed us for 20 minutes at the City ground. He's got aggression. He's got it'll be interesting to go. I think Sancho stays out on loan. Guys, to be honest, I don't think we twist or stick with Sancho. I think he stays out on loan. I think the main.
Have you read today that he might be linked? He might be agreement for around about 35 million.
No, I haven't. Is that what's?
I'm not. It's not gold. It's one of those out there statements sort of thing that talks are ongoing for it.
Would you take 35 mil for the? We've probably given and spent 50 mil on him, haven't we, in wages?
Well, we have, but at which point do you cut your losses? At the end of the day, he's not going to play under Ten Hag. We've already answered the question of we want Ten Hag to stay. So that the Sancho decision will be if Ten Hag goes, then Sancho will probably come back and see what the new manager does. If Ten Hag stays, then I think Sancho's got to go.
Aren't we in for a Dortmund player?
Yes, attacking midfielder.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that'll have the bearing on the price then, Phil. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Of course, the other one, the name that shall not be mentioned, they've got a decision to make in the summer over there, haven't they, Getafe? So that could generate either some money or whoever knows. That'll be quite interesting. But I hope that's answered your question. Lillis, thank you ever so much for that.
A quick answer to Roy and Frost. He said Jarvis, if Madrid will sell Vinicius Jr., would you go for him? Maybe it depends, but I wouldn't go for big name players. But if he's the right character, I will bring in one just to raise the level for all the others, but not chalking on 3-4 big name players. I don't think that's the way. I don't want to be a new PSG or in that bracket. I want to keep it real.
I think the cost of 100 million North players gone. I think that's over now. I don't think clubs will do it. Brilliant question from, and this one will definitely divide opinion, from Georgie Best. Question, gentlemen. For one season on a free, Olivier Giroud is available. Benjamin Sesko. There's a lot of fans wanting Sesko. Yeah, would we take Giroud to teach both Holland and Sesko for the final points? What do you think? You can't argue with the quality of Giroud. Actually, he's a seasoned pro. I'll be very, very quick. It'd be a no from me, but you can't argue with Giroud.
Yeah, for me, I would consider this. I like Giroud. He has Premier League experience. He has a lot of experience going in other leagues. He won the World Cup for France. I think he's a good player and he can bring something, but he needs to understand that he will come in on the right terms, not extremely high wages. He needs to accept sitting on the bench, being an option from the bench. And if he can accept these terms, why not? And Sesko, he goes without saying, I would love Sesko in the club. He looks extremely good.
Talent, yeah. Phil?
I don't know what Giroud's doing this season, to be honest. And that's not an insult. I just generally don't know what his stats are at. I don't know how he's doing, how he's performing.
Was it Milan?
I think it's AC Milan.
Yeah, I think
that's he's not someone who's all over the headlines because he's breaking records. So I couldn't comment based on his current performance. But bringing in a player like that, I could never understand at Arsenal why he wasn't getting the opportunities. So what's missing, because he always, every time he came on, seemed to perform, get a goal, get in the right position. He was great at headers. So for those, those sort of things, always got 12 goals, 8 assists this season, 13, 5 last year. So he's doing all right, I mean, it is in the Italian league, but apart from, I think at the end of the day, I think we just it feels a bit like a Weghorst signing. If we get to the end of a window and we've not got the guy we want, then, he's probably not a bad shout. Something like that. Looking at that stats, that's the only thing I can say. But I mean, I know you mentioned paying the big money sort of thing, and I think because of all the FFP and the breaches and stuff that's still going on in the background, you are going to see less big money being paid.
Yeah,
City over the last few years have done it a bit smarter because they're not having to buy 7 or 8 players of that money like Chelsea did. They're buying one big name. It's a lot of money and they're getting away with it. Well, so far. But I think we need much more than one big player. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Ollie Watkins. I think he would be brilliant at United. Yeah, I really would. He would be my choice. If you were taking a Premier League striker to join the team right now, it would be him. Absolutely no doubt about it. He complements Højlund really well. He makes runs. He's providing assists for his team as well. He's making intuitive runs. He's getting goals from distance. He's getting headers, shot. All different kinds of goals. So I like him. I think he's a great player. Curveball question. I'll come back to you because I forgot his name. It just left my mind for a minute. I'll come back to you.
Just one small bit about Giroud. Mr. Mkhitaryan is the OG of the Scorpion Kick, and if you could come to Old Trafford and do that Ponzi dance, I'll shoot you myself. That's just for that. Great question.
I just want to go, Stu. I just want to go back to Craig Warby with a quick comment. He said, "Welbeck, I'll take it as a backup striker. He's on a free in the summer." Welbeck, for me, that's a no. It's like going back to your ex-girlfriend. You don't want to do that. Welbeck, no for me.
Well. Yeah, he's doing well, but a hard no from me. We've got one more question.
And that will be the last one because we're on 2 hours and 10 minutes now. So.
From the OG herself. The OG herself. Stephanie, question to the panel. In a normal 90-minute match, do you think Ten Hag should always use all substitutes available to keep players both hungry and happy? Yesterday, our squad won that game. That's a really good question, and that is 100% going to divide the opinion of this panel, Stephanie. I can tell you that. So, Mr. Standish, 10 Standish, what's your thoughts on that?
I think you've got to look at who those substitutes are. I think it depends on how the game's going. We've not been in a commanding position, I'd say, at all this season, really. Maybe once or twice, where you've got a 3-4-0 lead, something like that, where you can you can do that. You can bring players off. You can give them the separate round of applause, and you can bring other players in and integrate them into a game that's going well. To bring subs in at this stage just to keep them happy. I know she said hungry and happy, and that's slightly different. But at the end of the day, if you're not hungry when you're sat on the bench raring to get on, then you're probably at the wrong club. When you only have to look at Ollie under Sir Alex. He kept him hungry and happy, and he was on the bench, but he didn't bring him on to keep him happy. He brought him on because he was hungry. He watched the game. He watched every minute of it. He watched the gaps. He watched where he could make a difference. And when he came on, we all know he did. So if you've got the right subs to bring on at the right time in the right game, absolutely, absolutely. And there has been times this season when I've seen Ten Hag and I'm thinking, the game's clearly gone, the legs have gone, the desire's gone from individuals, and you're thinking, get him off, give him a chance to at least get out there and run at them. So that's my answer.
Good answer. I fear Jarvis's is going to be different, but we shall find out. Jarvis.
No, Phil Standish answered this brilliantly, and I agree in so many points. But also, being the devil's advocate, I think it's good to utilize the squad, and there's a lot of unknown players that we haven't actually seen. We saw Ahmad yesterday, but we didn't actually know what he could bring. But now he brought it, and maybe we will see more of this. And as a player, sitting on the bench game after game, it's kind of demoralizing. You want to be a part of the team, and playing only 3 minutes, maybe that's enough just to keep you going for one more week and train 110%, and be focused. So I would like Ten Hag to maybe do a little bit more subs and just use the squad more.
Yeah. So you probably guessed I've got a different take on this one. Look, people talk about a striker being one of the most hardest positions to play, or goalkeeper, etc. Substitutes the most difficult position you'll ever get in a squad, because when the gaffer turns around and says, "Get warmed up" or whatever, you go on, you do your stretches, etc., 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 and then you go on there and you're thinking, "Fuck, it's 1-0 or it's 1 each, or it's." You can't wait to get your first touch, and then you can't get into the game because you don't get the ball played to you because it's off the other side of the pitch or whatever. And by the time the ball comes to you, you miscontrol it. You're fucking already pissed off of being on the bench. You're then pissed off of playing. It's a massively difficult job role in a substitute. So for me personally, if I was on the bench, I'd be getting up. I'd be warming up every 10 minutes. I'd be kicking Ten Hag as I walk past him. Oi, don't forget me, son, and do that, because you've got to integrate yourself into the team. You can't just sit on the bench, which we do. Substitutes today sit on the bench far more than they should. They should be up. They should be warming up. I'm ready, gaffer. So, Ten Hag should be looking at who's warming up and who's on the pitch. Oh, fucking hell, you're not getting on today or whatever. And as you walk past, all right, gaffer, when am I going on? You constantly talking and integrating yourself in the team, because if you are not ready, and how many times, guys, this is why it's a great question from Stephanie. This is why it's about. How many times have you looked and a player's not ready? He's not got his fucking shin pads on, his fucking tracksuit. How many times have you seen that? You should be ready when you're on that bench. You should be ready to get on and get going. It's different, when you look up and down the leagues. But, there's a young Jarvis Cocker on there in Ten Hag saying, "Jarvis, get ready." And you fucking, "Where's my pads?" "Oh, fuck. Well, what's this? Where's my top?" "Oh, I haven't got my top," because one of the lads has nicked it and shoved it somewhere, because that's happened before.
I'm ready, boss.
It's happened before, and then you're disheveled, waiting to get on. But you should be ready. Yeah, no problem. And away you go. And it doesn't happen in the modern game. It's completely different. So that's my take on it. That's why I love that. I love those types of questions, because it's not as simple as an answer as you guys have pointed out already. It's a more difficult, intricate question to answer by virtue of just as the simplicity of being ready. So anyway, guys, there's loads of you watching, absolutely tons of you watching. that's it for the Q&A today. I hope you've enjoyed the Q&A side of it. We once again apologise. The show's got away with us again, and we've been chatting, and we apologise for the interaction with the VAR room. If you're upset with us, shout at Jarvis, not me and Phil, because we're only getting on Jarvis Corner. But get your questions in. They've been brilliant questions. The questions are getting so much better as the weeks have gone, and they are absolutely brilliant. So we better go through the VAR room, Jarvis, before we go. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, Stephanie comes in, said, can we get 6 more likes so we reach 70 likes? We have been slaving on the kitchen for 2 hours and 15 minutes as we speak. So please give us a like if you haven't. And it's been a fantastic stream. Time flies when we talk football, you know. I can't believe it's been 2 hours, 15 minutes now. And brilliant having you on, Phil Standish. You are contributing to the show so much. So whenever you have the time,
thank you.
You're always welcome on the Jarvis's Corner.
Thank you.
Yeah. Top draw, Phil. Absolutely top. We've only worked together twice, haven't we?
Yeah. I've been very busy. I've not had much chance, but I've been on other shows as well and stuff. So it's just trying to. I said to Mick and Jarvis today, I said I've really missed not being on the show. I just want to see you guys and catch up with you, all sort of things. So it's been good. I really appreciate it. It's been a great show. Thank you. Just add though very quickly, there's 175 of you watching, and we've not even got 70 likes. So if you don't like it, switch off. Yeah, you obviously don't like it, and if you do like it, just hit that like button. That's it. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to do.
If you don't mind, if you don't mind, it'd be brilliant. I mean, the watches, they're going up, aren't they, Jarvis? People are watching us are going up, and we thank you. We really do. And look, with 175 people watching, we've all got different opinions. If there's something that you don't agree with, tell us. Put it
next time. It's been 2 hours 16 minutes, and I've not been to the toilet for that long. And
in the non-live,
2 drinks during the show.
Non-live section after the show. Get your comment in. I will make it swift. Thank you, Stu Wally, for coming in as co-host always. Tom, Pleasure. Journalist 1, joining us. He needed to go a little bit early, but that's okay. We kept the show going. I would thank all in the VAR room. We have the United Football Wave, Stephanie Griffith, Lillis, Luan France, Craig Warby, Lucky Singh. You know who you are. Thank you, everybody, for watching this show. And I will hope to see you on next Monday, 9 p.m.
Yes, please.
And just want to find the exit video. Where is it? There it is.
Come on, we're trying to do it. Come on.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.